The gentlelady will provide a translation.
Welcome, everyone, back to Curiosities, and I'm here once again with the fancy guest, Mr. Mike McDonald. Mike McDonald, I just want to know one thing. When you walk into a McDonald's, do they give you free food because you're like they think you're the owner?
Why would I walk into a McDonald's?
I just want to know if they think, oh, there's the owner. Let's give him some chicken nuggets.
No.
Would you like these, sir? Would you like
no,
these?
I like to live a long life. I like to live a long life.
Get a raise? All right, Mike. So what to talk about this response that AOC recorded in her closet, or maybe it was her. I think it was her shoe closet, honestly. But anyway, we're going to look at this response that she made. It is just like, well, you just wait till we get there. But before we get to that, I do have to say to everyone out there, thank you for being strong supporters of the show. We have a lot of supporters, you know. The channel's growing. We're getting more subs.
We crossed the 2,000 threshold.
We have, and we have more people that are following us on X. So if you're on X, please follow us at King of Silas. That's where I'm posting most of it. But my personal one is at JV Micah. I don't know if you. Yeah. I think are you on X, Mike?
Yeah.
I think you're on Truth Social for sure, right?
Am I? I have to check. I don't really like. I don't use X. I never use Twitter. I browse.
Mike, the book Ouroboros that I wrote is doing well. I wanted to share this and really put a shout out there for another fan of the Curiosity Show, and she just got her first copy of the book. This is Carolyn's Bondseller.
Hey, Carolyn.
She lives out in Hanover, Pennsylvania, and she sent me this picture of her holding the book. She's very happy that she got it. I actually signed it for her. So
that was awfully nice of you.
Yes, it was very, very. It's something. She's a strong supporter of the Curiosity Show. Let's talk about AOC, Mike. Your favorite topic in the whole wide world. I know you have a crush on her, Mike.
No.
Because anybody who criticizes her wants to date her. I hope you didn't forget that.
Oh, I forgot. Yes, I forgot. But the thing is, I'm not a ginger.
I want to play some of this tape of her talking about the border wall. We discussed this in another video. If you want to watch me and Mike talk about Biden in the border wall and that whole fiasco, the link is also either below or it should be like right above Mike's head, I think. But they'll also be in the description if it's not up there. You can check out the other video on Biden and the border wall fiasco. But in response to that, Mike, AOC had a lot to say. I'm not quite sure what it is. I'm hoping you can help me dissect it.
She always has a lot to say, but carry on.
Let's get into this, Mike. Let's see what AOC has to say. She took some questions from people. I don't know if they were her constituents. I would imagine they were. But let's see what her response is to
Patricia from Parkchester asks, why are you against building a border wall?
Excellent question. Thank you, Patricia. One of the things that we have seen from the data, now border walls have been built not just under the previous administration, but they have been built for decades, frankly. And what we largely see is that our issue with these walls is that they are actually not very strong deterrents.
So, Mike, she said that these border walls have been built for decades. I think China built a giant wall.
There's currently about 77 walls in the world.
Do you think they're deterrents?
I think they're great deterrents.
So, Mike,
because
I'm sorry, go ahead.
They're definitely a lot better of a deterrent than no wall at all. Do you remember that? What wasn't even that guy that always he always gave Trump a hard time? That the reporter, Jim Acosta.
Jim Acosta. You're talking about Jim Acosta, Mike.
Yeah. So wasn't it Jim Acosta that went to a place where there was a wall and he looked beyond the wall and said, "There's nobody here." that was one of the best self-owns ever. So to her statement that walls don't work, she should have a conversation with Jim Acosta.
All right, let's continue to see what else this genius has to say.
What they do is drive a lot of people
She said
into
doo-doo.
rural
She said doo-doo.
areas who then often pass away or succumb to the elements. This is a
All
humanitarian
right, so pause it right there.
crisis.
Pause it right there.
They often pass away, Mike. So remember,
Yes, they often pass away.
if you're,
So now let me address that one bit. Hold on. Let me address that one bit.
okay.
If I'm in a state where I'm going to go to a place where I know, and I'm passing signs that say certain death, certain death, certain death, there's a good chance I might not go there.
Let's continue with what else this sheer genius has to say. Let's continue.
And moreover, one of the things that we're seeing is that the largest concerns, the things that people try to avoid most when it comes to building a wall, are things like the importation of dangerous substances like fentanyl, for example. But actually, the vast majority of fentanyl is going through the existing checkpoints, and they're being imported by Americans. And
Wait, hang on.
So
She's saying two things here. One, she's saying that our border guard, the people that are guarding the border that are actually at the crossing points, okay, the actual checkpoints, that they're inept, that they're not doing their job. And then she's saying that Americans are the ones going across the border, bringing in the 160,000 tabs of fentanyl across the border. Now, I know for a fact that there are Americans that are trafficking the drugs once they get across the border. Okay, we know that, but they're getting through the border in all areas, in every manner.
Mike, aren't there underground tunnels?
Yes.
Are the people that are just
Absolutely.
they're just pushing all the drugs through those tunnels. And I think one of the plans from the Trump years was that they were going to put not just a wall up, but they were also putting spikes down to kind of force them to dig their tunnels again and force them to dig it deeper into the ground because I think a simpler solution that would be a lot more advantageous is you send out a warning, okay? And sometime in the next 45 days, we're going to start flooding these tunnels. All right, let's see what else she has to say.
so many of the primary issues that people are trying to address with a wall are not actually addressed by a wall. It doesn't actually solve our problems. And it doesn't solve the problems that people claim that building a wall would solve. Now, what does help are investments in science, technology, and what helps the most
it's always investment.
An system that does not.
So we're going to build rockets to keep people from coming over the border?
No, what she's alluding to is that put up surveillance systems, because what are we going to do with the surveillance system? Hey, look, there goes another person across the border.
We got it wrong. We got you on camera.
We got you on camera. Okay, now what? You did nothing to deter them from going there, right?
They'll be like smiling at the camera, like, hey.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, good luck finding him. But then the state of Texas put up barbed wire to protect Texas's border, right? Which Texas can actually do that. Okay, and then you have feds going through and cutting the damn wires.
These people are insane. Let's see what else she has to say.
Incentivize people coming by foot. One of the reasons why we are having this issue in the first place is because existing U.S. policy deeply incentivizes a lot of people to come by land. And
wait, hang on. Wait, she's on to something.
Wait a minute.
She said the truth.
Wasn't it her people?
She said the truth. No, she said the truth. It's amazing. Current U.S. policy incentivizes them to come by foot.
Wasn't it her people?
So if we reverse the current policy by building a wall, it's going to help mitigate how many people are crossing. She's brilliant. She nailed it right there.
A lot of these people would prefer to use other modes of transportation and other modes of access.
And
so I think our primary priority is to have is to reform our immigration system, update our visa system, and also
make it harder.
allow people to
No, right.
apply for asylum and be able to be initially approved.
Hold on a second, Mike. I gotta interject here. She says that we should do something about the asylum, but we have to first define what that is, because this has been a debate for years.
It has been.
Asylum, as far as I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, but according to the international law, someone seeking asylum is fleeing war or genocide or something like that.
Correct.
It was detrimental to their
Persecution.
to their life.
They're saying persecution, genocide, war, those types of things. Immediate threat to life, either as a group or as an individual. Right.
And these
So
people are
in
not-
other words, people from Cuba, people from Venezuela fall into that category.
okay,
Okay.
but people that are trying to just make more money, that's not considered.
That's not a recognized justification
That's not
for
asylum.
to seek asylum. Now, even on that form, is that you're supposed to go to the first, like the nearest country. Okay, Cuba falls into that category where we are the nearest border. Okay,
Mhm.
Venezuela unfortunately does not, but I'd rather have a bunch of Venezuelans here fleeing their socialist government
Yeah,
or
but don't they-
communist government.
But then it's supposed to go to the neighboring country. They've passed like 16 countries.
Right.
It's like, what the hell?
Well, I mean, dude, when you have thousands of migrants coming here from other continents, okay, how'd they get to the Central American continent? How'd they get there? They flew there. Who paid for that flight?
Right.
How'd they get there?
Let's see what else she's got saying.
The way our current system operates is that it forces people to show up at ports of entry in person on land in order to apply. And so
That's what you're supposed to do.
We want to be able, of course, to preserve the right to do that. Seeking asylum is
But it's not a
human
blanket right.
But also we want to expand people's ability to do that as well.
Expand? How do you
And so
expand?
for me,
No.
I think
How
it's
do you
just that we
expand
can
it?
take those resources and use them much more effectively to actually solve the problem.
Who decides?
Yeah.
Who decides that it's being effectively? Who's that it being spent
Right.
more effectively? Who
Well,
decides
not only-
what that threshold is? Okay, this is
Yeah.
not effective and this is effective. What is
Yeah.
that threshold?
Effective meaning it's just word salad. She doesn't describe what she's saying without saying it. Okay, is that money that would be requisite for those ideas that have been planted in her pea brain, okay, is going to come from taxpayers.
New Kingdom Radio Theatre.